Hello everyone, today I want to re-dive into a really interesting community that's starting to make a lot of noise in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, and that is a place called Wild Blue. This isn't your typical new construction neighborhood. From the location to the builder lineup to the way the entire thing is really being developed, it's kind of in a category of its own in 2025. And it's got a vibe that feels noticeably different than what you might have come to expect in Lakewood Ranch, which, admittedly so, has at certain times looked more of the same. In this video, I'm going to walk you through where exactly is Wild Blue on a map, what makes it stand out, who's building here, who it might be right for, and just as important, who it might not be. So whether you are actively shopping the area at the moment or just starting to have the inklings of an idea of relocating to the state of Florida, hopefully today's video will give you a much clearer sense of what Wild Blue in the Waterside District of Lower Lakewood Ranch, Florida means in 2025. If we have not met, my name is Adam Hancock. If I can assist you in any way within the Southwest Florida real estate market, buying, selling, and or investing, please consider reaching out, and let's hop in. So first off, let's start with where exactly is Wild Blue. This one is tucked into a really unique pocket, I think, on the southern end of a district called Waterside in Lower Lakewood Ranch, Florida. So in an area that's already so robust, you have 30,000 plus acres, 50 plus communities, etc. If you think about where the denser, more master planned side of the community starts to open up a little bit, where the rows of homes start thinning a tad, and the lake views are proper lakes that stretch out and have a more long vertical view, this is where you'll find much more of that. Proximity-wise, you're in a really interesting spot as well, because you're only a couple minutes from the newest, sexiest downtown waterside place. That means restaurants, coffee shops, Florida's #1 ranked farmers market, waterfront event, that's all right there. This is a proper downtown, not what we've done in the normal suburban shopping center stuff of the past. That's not to mention access to the new Center Point. You have downtown Lakewood Ranch that already existed, University Town Center, etc. to boot. Top of that, you've got easy access to I-75. That's the main interstate system in this part of Florida. 5 to 10 minutes depending on what gate you exit the neighborhood. Sarasota is also in grids. You can also take Rain Road straight down, depending on the day, to Fruitville. Soon you're going to be able to do the same with the Bourneside extension. There's a lot of ways to get to a lot of similar places, and then all of that is going to be less than about 25 minutes one way to downtown Sarasota, which is then 3.5 miles to the beaches, etc. So in 2025, especially with the speed at which Eastern expansion is happening, some of these locations are going to prove much more important as time goes on. All right, so now let's talk about what actually makes the community of Wild Blue different, because there's a lot happening here right now to me that you don't necessarily see elsewhere, especially in Lakewood Ranch. So first off is the combination of luxury and new construction, and not just by price, but by feel, by scale, by just the level of flexibility you have in general. If you've been following what's currently available in the area for any length of time, then I'm sure you have a good idea that there isn't really much new construction happening at this level anymore, especially from the ground up. Most of what's left, that would be Wild Blue kind of standards, I guess for lack of better words, is either spec inventory or it's tucked into some sort of resale neighborhood with limited choices, which makes the whole thing much more convoluted. The second thing that stands out is the lots. This community actually gives you some semblance of room to breathe. We're talking 64-foot wide home sites at the smallest level, which is the biggest in a lot of communities, up to 100 plus in just the standard collections, and then some custom stuff that it's onesie, twosies, you got to look for it. You could get like half-acre plus lots within this one community, which is rare by Florida new construction standards in general, let alone a place like Southeastern Lakewood Ranch. So instead of that tight cookie cutter feel where you can basically touch your neighbors within a stone's throw, you've got a little bit more space, to me, both visually and physically. On top of that, you got the builders. Every home here is being built by a custom or semi-custom builder, and that variety makes all the difference to me. You're not limited to one architectural style or preset of floor plans near as much. Each builder brings something unique. You can actually personalize the house to fit your style, layout preferences, and even how you want to live day to day. And another thing that really defines the vibe here is just the size, like the macro size of the community. This isn't some massive 1,000 home subdivision. The total number of homes here will be under 600 from everything that we know when it's fully built out, so it'll stay more private and feel more tucked away in general at complete maturity, which I know when you go into a 15-month build potentially on a custom home, a lot of people are nervous about, I like it now, but will I like it when it's completely done? And that smaller scale tends to attract, for those reasons, amongst others, a certain type of buyer, and it's people, in my experience, that are looking for something more curated and intentional. And lastly, to round out just a handful of items that I really like, especially about if you had to pull out what's valuable about Wild Blue, is the big lake that runs right through the middle of the community. It's not like the normal retention pond that you're going to see in most suburban communities. It's actual wide water, it's long, it's a body of water that I don't think a lot of people were even aware of when kind of Kingfisher across the street was running the show, but they tear down all that brush, and this is arguably one of the biggest bodies of water in this part of Florida's suburbs, and it's not the Gulf of Mexico by any standard, but again, this is the idea of value on top of value on top of value when you already have a suburb ceiling. And just like a golf community in a lot of ways, these big lakes in general and the way they weave the homes around it almost make every view, every lot, every angle a little better than the normal Joe. Okay, now that we have kind of a broad level of pros, in my opinion, about Wild Blue in general, let's go a little bit deeper and talk about who's actually building here, how that works, and then more importantly, as of June 2025, what these guys currently have, like what's going on with each builder. This is 4 main layers of lot sizes: 64, 78, 90, and 100. Stock Development is the master developer. They've done section Genoa of the Lake Club. They're based out of Naples, I think. They're always in nice communities, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen them around. They're a custom builder, maybe the most spec custom homes I've ever seen, which gives you like tighter timelines and stuff like that too, but they are a custom builder. Stock is on every single lot, so they will play on all 4 of these lot sizes, and then they have some unicorns in addition to that. No other builder will. So it's basically Stock Development and a custom friend on 64s, same thing on 78, and they're different guys, right? So it's not like you can go any lot size, any builder, and kind of pick your poison. That's how it kind of starts to narrow pretty quickly here. And then you got style, and you have all that on top of it. So we'll start kind of with the non-stock guys and we'll work our way up. 64-foot lot is the smallest you can do in here, like I mentioned. Now, just for perspective, again, most communities you build in, the biggest lots are 62, and the smallest here are 64, so they're not tiny little things, and they're quite deep as well. So you're gonna have like maybe a 54, 55-foot wide home on a 64-foot wide lot. Lee Wetherington, not novice to this area. They've built custom all throughout the whole history of Lakewood Ranch, really. And a lot of times they do give some of the more, with perspective terms, affordable price point to the custom conversation, but it's not because of the quality. It's because of maybe the minimum size they let you build, the lot size they're on, stuff like that. They have closed their models in Wild Blue, and a lot of people have been talking about they're sold out. They're not. They still have 6 home sites left. The average size here, based on what people have done, 3,200 square feet. The average price point is going to be between 2 to 2.5 million realistically, based on what you do, your choices, and the lot that you go on. Next one, 78, Arthur Ruttenberg. Same thing with Lee Wetherington. These guys kind of go in tandem a lot of the times, and it's pretty binary. They package their stuff very different from each other. So typically people aren't really fighting over which one do I choose. It could be a price point, a lot size, or style alone, but no one's really like, I don't know, in between them. They have, the average home they built this year is 4,000 square feet. They can go down to 2,800, then go up to 6,000 plus as well. I'm gonna give you, I have a lot of information on what they have quite a few left. Lake Preserve, Lake/Preserve, and then standard lots as well. The cheapest lot you can get is about 400K, 398. A lot of stuff in the mid 4s, mid 5s, 6s as well, but you don't have really any $1 million lots for the most part in here, and they have quite a bit of availability, all on Blue Shell, on Blue Mist Way. I can provide all of that if you'd like. This is how you get to your final price. Let's say your average lot's like 450. Well, Arthur kind of does a really high-end custom but package deal. So they have an executive, a signature, and a platinum version, which changes infrastructure of the house, the features, the fixtures, all that kind of thing, but the minimum is really high-end. So one of their most affordable floor plans is the Avila. I think it's pronounced Avila. The cheapest version of that is about 2.1 million. So you throw the lot on top of that. That's for the most part shades of gray how you get your prices. The smallest square foot that they offer in a package deal is about 3,200, so they're not tiny. Smallest bedrooms 3, smallest bathrooms 3, 3.5. They have base plans. The most affordable package they have at Signature, and the most expensive being the Platinum. The difference is 200 grand, almost across the board. So most people don't, in my experience, don't need to go down to like the nuts and the bolts of every single little item. It's almost overwhelming to try to envision all of that, and a lot of times it's unnecessary. And this kind of stuff gives you that out. So again, a lot of floor plans. There's coastal, there's traditional, there's Mediterranean, but that's where you're going to end up there. You're probably going to end up, for the most part, mid 2s to low 3s, I would say. We go out of 78, so now we're on 90-foot lots. Another common Lakewood Ranch person, John Cannon. So they're doing the 90s. They're still building a Wild Blue. They build, the average lot's going to be about 90 by 180. The entry point with the lot here, based on what people have done, is around 3 million. They have 7 lots available for people to build on right now. They're in phase 2, so you have 314, you have 316, 17, 18, 19, 321, 322 as of the time I'm recording this. The Ballora model, in addition to that, they're going to do a really nice spec house, is under construction, and that's going to be on lot 105, and it's listed for 3.649 million. That'll give you a good perspective of what a lot of people would end up with, and you kind of walk it and do all of that. John's another one where like they're really unique. So this is where I've seen like people can go pretty ham, and you have a big lot to do. So you'd have plenty of room in the backyard in addition to a good size house. And the houses tend to be about 4,000 square feet with them. And then the biggest of the custom guys, which I've not seen do a ton in the suburbs, is called Anchor. They're on the 100-foot lots. This is gonna be your hyper luxury tier, maybe beyond the stock custom unicorn properties. Like there's stock luxury and then there's stock custom. This is gonna be your highest end. So 4,000 square feet and upward. Pricing typically here is gonna be 3 to 6 million. And it's also gonna be your largest acreage property lot within here. So you have that. Stock, I mentioned at the beginning, is on every one of these lots. They're on 64 through 100. The sizes here are gonna range, just depends on timing of what you get, 2,500 to 4,000 square feet on these lots. And then they also offer those estate homes on the larger lots where people are gonna go 4,700 square feet plus, which if you're, depending on where you're from, that's a big house in Florida, especially in the suburbs. And people end up at 5-6 million potentially. Like when you see all of those ranges on the internet of like 1.4 to 6 million, a lot of the higher end tier is right here. Stock also is gonna be probably your most affordable entry point into this neighborhood in general. When we say the minimum used to be 1.4, now it's 1.8, it's mainly with stock. It's not the custom guys for the most part going into that. Stock also has the most lots available. So that would kind of sum up everything I think to tell you at this point, but you can of course reach out if you need any real-time information at any point. All right, now that we've gone a little deeper, just to be fair, contrastly, let's do a devil's advocate of who might Wild Blue not be right for. First off is price point. This is gonna instantly eliminate a big portion of the buyer pool. You're not going to randomly stumble into Wild Blue because you like Waterside. It's a specific choice. Most buyers in 2025 will be a minimum of 1.8 million. Number two, to me, it's still in early development. This means some streets are mid-construction, landscaping is not mature, and the overall feel will not be complete for another 12 to 24 months. So there's benefits to getting an early-ish. There's also some trade-offs that go with that. And then three, there's the monthly HOA. I mentioned that earlier in the video. It's steep. You know, you're gonna be looking at 800 plus per month on most homes here, plus a layered CDD fee on top of that. So your monthly carrying cost, even beyond your mortgage, is going to be substantial, especially if you don't value the amenities. And then lastly, you know, just simple logistics-wise, because of the timing and current checkered availability, if you love this community, you even like a lot size, and you don't like the current availability with the current builders that all align with that choice, then it's a null and void conversation. So none of this is really surprising for the luxury tier in my mind, but I think it's worth pointing out the value here isn't just the house. I think it's the lifestyle, I think it's the privacy, and the long-term trajectory of the area in general. Okay, and lastly, to finish off today's video, my takeaway is that Wild Blue in 2025 is for someone who wants the best of the best when it comes to Sarasota. And I don't mean that in a flashy way, I mean it in a layered way. You're getting one of the top small town metros in the entire state. You're inside what's widely considered the #1 master plan community in Florida. Then you zoom in even further than that, you're in one of the best locations within that master plan area. On top of all of that, you've got access to some of the top builders operating in this market right now. And then you have that amenity setup that I mentioned earlier in the video. It's arguably the most impressive of any new neighborhood currently selling. If you've been looking around for a while, maybe you've toured Lakewood Ranch before, you've checked out some other coastal comparing spots in your juxtaposition in general, and you keep finding yourself drawn back to the Sarasota Metro, this might be the one that finally lines up for what you're after. It's for someone who's looking for a lifestyle anchor. Whether it's a full-time move, it's a seasonal play, anywhere in between, the people who will end up in this community are intentionally choosing it because of geography, because of quality, lot sizes, the views, the privacy, and the overall feel. All right, folks, that's a wrap up today's breakdown on the Wild Blue community in Lower Lakewood Ranch, Florida on the Florida Relocation Guide. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel. Just the best way to see what's coming next. A lot of great stuff planned, hopefully, for the balance of the year. Again, my name is Adam Hancock. If I can assist you in any way in the Southwest Florida real estate market, I own a full-scale residential real estate brokerage. We're very intentional about how we go about assisting people. It's kind of unique, data-driven approach, but it's very much on the back of these kind of videos if you resonate with it. We're trying to get ahead of things. I very much think that things that have happened already with people that they've figured out and what builders are trying to do and all the information we're trying to group and aggregate of these different sources is going to always benefit the next buyer. So we're trying to equip you in the best way possible, but we own a full-scale residential real estate brokerage that can assist with the entire transaction across the board, even title and mortgage if you're interested in that as well. You can call, text, email, all that kind of thing if you like this kind of content. On the website, I have a couple kind of autonomous options. We send one email every 30 days. That's one of the best things you can do. That's a different way of consuming the kind of content. It's a manifesto, no pictures, no frills, nothing like that. It's just all the information we have about Southwest Florida, new releases, builder incentives, all that kind of thing. And it's just one email is going to hit you on the last day of the month or the first business day of the next month. We have free relocation guides on the website as well that you can download. Just trade you kind of for an email address. And we have written word versions of the videos as well. So check all that out on the sunshinestateco.com if you deem that viable to you. Thank you guys so much for consuming my content. We'll see you in the next one.